Okay, okay, students. We will start today's discussion. As this topic is already discussed earlier, but question is repeatedly asked in the exam. That is, question is classify tracks in detail and explain sensory tracks. They will either ask you to explain tracks in the lateral column, that is lateral spinothalamic, or they will ask you to explain anterior spinothalamic tract in detail, or they will ask to explain tracks in the posterior column, that is the wall and Burdak in detail. So today I have decided just to conduct this lecture about only sensory tracks. Right? As usual, for today's lecture, three students from your batch they are with me. You can see them. That is uh, Tushar, Komal, and Vaishnavi. Right? So they are with us. So with this, we will start today's lecture. Today's small topic, but very interesting topic, that is sensory and motor tracks. From that, we will start our discussion from the definition of track. So track, it is nothing but it is a major passage in the body which consists of large bundle of nerve fibers or continuous anatomical structures or regions. Tracks is a major passage in the body which consists of large bundle of nerve fibers. So we will try to study these tracks. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Good. The tract is a major passage in the body, consists of large bundle of nerve fibers. These tracts are classified into two basic parts, basic types, that is sensory tracts and motor tracts. Right? Today we will discuss sensory tracts in detail. These sensory tracts are also called as ascending tract, or they are also called as afferent tract. The meaning of ascending is very simple, which ascends upward. The meaning of afferent is again simple. Afferent means which is coming from periphery and which is coming towards a central nervous system. That is called as afferent. To the ascending tracts, sensory tracts, or afferent tracts, they are divided further into three types. That is afferent tracts in the posterior column of the spinal cord, afferent tracts in the lateral column of the spinal cord, and afferent tracts in the anterior column of the spinal cord. Okay, so this spinal cord, these tracts, afferent or sensory tracts are present in these different parts of the spinal cord. So, what is this columns? So what is these parts? What is this anterior column? What is this lateral column? What is this posterior column? That we will try to study. We will try to understand the concept of column of a spinal cord. So in this transverse section of a spinal cord, you can able to see very nicely that this TSS consists of central H-shaped gray matter and this peripheral white matter. Okay, so if you see this, this spinal cord TS has got a dorsal part or posterior part. This one, still students are coming late. So this posterior part of the spinal cord is called as posterior column of white matter. Okay, these two side parts of the spinal cord are called as lateral column of a spinal cord, and this one is a anterior column of a spinal cord. So this posterior, lateral, and anterior column of a spinal cord contains different tracks. If you observe it carefully, you can able to see that this posterior column of the spinal cord consists of tract of Gall and Burdak. That is also called as fasciculus gracilis and cuneatus. So these two major tracks, that is sensory tracts, are present in the posterior column. If you see lateral column of the spinal cord, you can see on this side sensory tracts and on this side motor tracts. So from motor tracts, you can see corticospinal. That is lateral corticospinal is a major tract which is present in the lateral column. That is from motor tracts. Along with that, anterior column, anterior corticospinal tract is present in the anterior column of the spinal cord, and all these tracts are extrapyramidal tracts. Okay, if you see these particular sensory tracts, anterior column of a spinal cord contains anterior spinothalamic tract, and these are small tracts which are present in the lateral column of the spinal cord. So these are something regarding ascending. So you can take picture of this spinal cord, screenshot. You study it well. So this spinal cord, these tracks, afferent tracks in the posterior column, we are going to study three tracks in detail: track of Gall, track of Burdak, then comma track of Schultz. Track of Gall is also called as fasciculus gracilis. Track of Burdak, it is called as fasciculus cuneatus, right? And comma track of Schultz, that is called as tractor interfascicularis. So these three we are going to study in detail. The tracks, afferent tracks or ascending tracks in the lateral column. Under that, you are going to study nine tracks. Okay. Out of that, lateral spinothalamic tract is a longer one. Rest of the tracks are very small in its course. That is spinotectal tract, the Fleshin's tract, and Gower's tract, spino-olivary tract, spino-reticular tract, spino-vestibular tract, spino-pontine tract, and spino-cortical tract. So these are tracks which are present in the lateral column of the spinal cord, and at last tracks which are present in the anterior column of the spinal cord, that are anterior spinothalamic tract. Okay, so all these tracks you can see in this TS of spinal cord. Okay, so we will now begin the study of all these tracks in detail. So these sensory tracts, by rule, they are consist of three basic neurons, starting from periphery towards central nervous system. They are consist of three neurons. That is called as first order neuron, which starts from peripheral sensory receptor. They ascends upwards towards spinal cord. They enters from posterior gray horn. All sensory tracts enters in the spinal cord from posterior gray horn. Okay, and all motor tracks, they are coming out from spinal cord from anterior gray horn. This is the basic rule. Anterior part for motor system, posterior part for sensory system. So this first order neuron enters in the spinal cord from posterior gray horn, where usually they get terminated, and second order neuron begins, ascend upwards, gets terminated into the thalamus, from where third order neuron begins, ascend upwards from internal capsule, get terminated into the primary sensory area of cerebral cortex, area number 1, 2, 3. So that is a basic rule of these sensory tracts. That you all should know. Then we will start with the discussion of all tracks. One by one, we will discuss all sensory tracks today. So we will discuss these tracks in relation to its situation, its origin, its course, its termination, its function, and effect of lesion. What will happen after lesion? So first track we will discuss, that is track of Gall and Kodak. It is very common question which is coming in the exam. Classify tracks and explain track of Gall and Kodak in detail. Okay, so under that circumstances, you have to classify all sensory tracks, and later on tomorrow we will discuss about classification of motor tracks. That also we are supposed to write. And if they are asking to explain track of Gall and Kodak, then only explain this track of Gall and Kodak in detail. Okay, so this track of Gall and Kodak It is consist of three neurons as a basic rule. First order neuron starts from peripheral sensory receptors of different receptors. Then it enters into the spinal cord from posterior gray horn. Okay, this is the anterior gray horn of the spinal cord. Okay, Tushar, can you see? This is a posterior gray horn of the spinal cord. So this first order neuron enters from posterior gray horn of the spinal cord, from where it occupies posterior column, posterior white matter. That's why they are coming under tracks in the posterior column of the spinal cord. From where they ascend upwards, both track ascend upwards. First order neuron itself ascends upwards and it enters into the medulla oblongata. Okay, in medulla oblongata, this tract of Burdak, you can see in this diagram, this gets terminated into the nucleus cuneatus, and tract of Gall in medulla oblongata, it gets terminated into the nucleus gracilis. Right? That's why these tracts are also called as fasciculus cuneatus and fasciculus gracilis, respectively, as they are terminate into that particular nucleus in the medulla oblongata. Okay, so first order neuron terminates at this medulla oblongata. Then second order neuron begins. The second order neuron of tract of Gall and Burdak are divided or further classified into two types, that is internal arcuate fibers and external arcuate fibers. Okay, so first we will discuss external arcuate fibers which are going on both sides. These are external arcuate fibers. So these external arcuate fibers are again divided into two parts: dorsal external arcuate fibers, which starts from this nucleus cuneatus and nucleus gracilis, and from inferior cerebellar peduncle they enters into the cerebellum of same set. Okay, you please try to understand all points in detail. So these external arcuate fibers, they just enters from inferior cerebellar peduncle and they get terminated at cerebellum of same side. On the contrary, ventral external arcuate fibers, they get crossed to the opposite side. Okay, and they get again enter from inferior cerebellar peduncle and gets terminated on cerebellum of opposite side. Okay, the function of these external arcuate fibers, of course, as they are terminated into the cerebellum, so they are concerned with kinesthetic sensations. What are these kinesthetic sensations? We will discuss later on. So internal arcuate fibers, they are ascending upwards. So these are internal arcuate fibers, as shown in this diagram. Okay, these internal arcuate fibers ascend upwards. Before that, they get decussate to the opposite side. That is cross. They get crossed to the opposite side, and then they ascend upwards and gets terminated into the thalamus. They, they get terminated at ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, from where third order neuron begins. They ascend upwards from internal capsule. All of you know what is internal capsule. I have conducted lecture of internal capsule. So this ascend upwards and gets terminated at primary sensory area of cerebral cortex. That is area number 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is called as primary sensory area of cerebral cortex. That is a course of track of Gall and Burdak. One more last important point from this track of Gall and Burdak is that track of Burdak B comes first and G comes later on. Okay, that's why track of Burdak, it brings sensations from upper half of the body. Isn't it, Tushar? We discussed it many times. That track of Burdak, it brings sensations from upper half of the body, that is chest and cervical region, upper extremity, like that. On the contrary, track of Gall, it brings sensations from lower half of the body, that is spinal, lumbar region, sacral region, and lower extremities. Right? That you should remember. It is very important point regarding track of Gall and Burdak. So this is course everything we have discussed. One Tushar has sent already. He has already forwarded PDF file of this lecture to you. You can read it later on. Okay, we will start with function. First function of this track is tactile sensation. It is a very superficial sensation of touch, which is called as tactile sensation. Second function is tactile localization. A localization, it is the ability to locate area of sensation. Okay, if you are locating area of sensation at hand or feet like that. So these sensations are carried by Trakopher and Bodak. Third function is tactile discrimination. Discrimination, it is the ability to recognize two different things. Okay, it is ability to discriminate two stimuli or two sensations. Now, for this particular test, all these tests you are going to perform in your clinics or in your practical clinical examination of sensory system. So you are going to perform this test for tactile localization, test for tactile discrimination. Okay. For this, the person will ask to close his eyes, and he will given the familiar objects will be given to him, such as coins, different coins or pencils or chalk, and he will ask to identify that familiar objects with his closed eyes. Okay, this test in the next week I am going to demonstrate you all tests, okay, of all these clinical examinations. Okay, so that will be practical, which I am going to conduct in next week. So remember tactile discrimination. Then next is sensation of vibrations. For this, it is ability to recognize sense of vibrations. Okay. For this purpose, person is again asked to close his eyes, and tuning fork is used. Vibrations are given on the tuning fork, and which is placed on the bony prominences of the on the body, and person is asked to recognize that vibrations. Okay, so this is very important function of tech of Warren Bodak, that is sense of vibrations, which are also carried by this tract. The next is conscious kinesthetic sensations. Yes, this word has come again. Kinesthetic sensations. It is sensation of awareness of various muscular activities in different parts of the body. Okay. The next is stereognosis. Stereognosis, this test again you are going to perform in your practical of sensory nervous system. Please remember this word stereognosis. It is ability to recognize known objects by touch with closed eyes. Then next is effect of vision. What will happen if the lesion occurs? So of course tactile localization will get disturbed and discrimination will get disturbed. Even sense of vibration is going to disturb. Then stereognosis, exactly it is a stereognosis is reverse condition of stereognosis. It is osteognosis is inability to recognize known objects by touch with closed eyes. That is called as osteognosis. Loss of proprioception, inability to recognize position and movement of different parts of body. If the track is get if vision is occurring to this track, and at last sensory ataxia, which is characterized by uncoordinated, slow, voluntary movement because of loss of proprioception sensations. So these 4 5 points you should able to describe in case of vision. What is impact? Next is small track. That is third track. We have already discussed track of Ball and Bodak. Two tracks we have discussed. Now this is third track from the posterior column. That is common track of Schultz. Okay. That is also called as tractus interfascicularis. It is made up of very short descending branches. These are branches of track of Ball and Bodak itself. It is situated in the posterior column and it looks like a comma. That's why name is given comma track of Schultz. Okay. So these are branches of same track, that is track of Warren Bodak, and they are communicating with each other, and there looks like a comma in transversation. That's why name is given comma track of Schultz. Function to establish intersegmental communication, and it forms a short reflex arc containing motor fibers. A particular peculiarity of this track is that although it is sensory in function, it has the descending in course. Very small track, but descending in course, and it is a sensory in function. Then next, we will discuss now tracks in the lateral column. We have finished track in the posterior column. Now we will discuss tracks in the lateral column of the spinal cord. Just recollect transverse section of the spinal cord. and just focus yourself at lateral column. The first important tract that we are going to discuss in this column, that is lateral spinothalamic tract. See how name is coming. Spinothalamic tract originates from spines and is supplied to the thalamus. That's why name is given spinothalamic. If it is cortico-spinal, means starts from cerebral cortex going towards spine, that are motor tracts. Okay, the meaning of cortico-spinal is motor tracts. So it is spinothalamic sensory tract. Lateral spinothalamic tract. Course we will discuss it from diagram. We will take help of this diagram. It is very easy diagram. This diagram is a little bit difficult, so don't follow this. Follow this one. It consists of three neurons: first order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron. First order neuron starts from peripheral sensory receptors of pain and temperature, because function of this tract is pain and temperature. So this starts from peripheral sensory receptors and this enters into the posterior gray horn, where it gets terminated, and second order neuron starts. In respect to spinal level itself, second order neuron get crossed to the opposite side. Okay, decussation is occurring in spinal cord itself, and it occupies lateral column, lateral white column of the spinal cord. That's why it comes under the lateral corticospinal tract. It occupies lateral column of the spinal cord, and it extends upwards from different spinal levels to medulla oblongata, to bones, to midbrains, and it gets uh, terminated into the thalamus. Okay, in the same region, and from where third order neuron begins, which ascend upwards and gets terminated at primary sensory area of cerebral cortex, area number 1, 2, 3. So this is important course of a lateral spinal thalamic tract. So function, it carries impulses of pain and temperature, as I told you. Pain and temperature of both heat and cold sensations are carried by this tract. Please remember, as compared with tract of Ball and Bodak, this function is totally different. Track of Goran Budak was just to identification of superficial sensations, tactile sensations, tactile localizations, tactile discriminations, vibrations. Okay, kinesthetic sensations, that was function of track of Goran Budak. And this lateral spinal thalamic tract, it is just for temperature and that is heat and cold sensations, pain and temperature. So, of course, lesion is going to cause loss of pain, which is called as analgesia, loss of pain. And of course, loss of temperature sensation, which is called as thermoanesthesia. But it is below the level of spinal cord. So, if this lesion is going to occur, you are going to get this analgesia and thermoanalgesia on opposite side. Why? Because there is crossing of tracks in the spinal level. That's why it is going to occur at opposite side, right? So this is you should remember, you should understand it well. Then next is tract, spinotectal tract. Again, it is a very small tract. Fibers starting from peripheral sensory receptors, dorsal dorsal gray horn. Then the ascends upwards and gets terminated at superior colliculus of midbrain. Function, it subserves spinal visual reflexes. It is small tract. Then flashing tract and Gover's tract. Again, it is small tract. Almost all fibers are present. Very less crossing in this tract, and it occupies lateral white column, ascend upwards, and from the bones it enters from superior and inferior cerebral peduncle. It enters into the cerebellum, where it gets terminated. So as it terminated into the cerebellum, function is same. The fleshing tract, Gover's tracts, both are responsible for kinesthetic impulses to cerebellum. Both are carrying kinesthetic impulses to cerebellum. So these kinesthetic impulses are sensation of awareness of various muscular activities in various parts of the body. It is called as kinesthetic impulses. So lesion, of course, it is going to cause loss of kinesthetic sensations of the same side, as this tract has very limited uncrossed fibers, as shown in this diagram. Crossed fibers are very less, Uncrossed fibers are more. That's why after lesion, same-sided kinesthetic sensations will be lost. Okay, Tushar? Okay. Then next is spinal tract. Again, very small tract. Tract starts from dorsal gray horn. Then it occupies the lateral column of spinal cord. Gets terminated at inferior olivar nucleus of medulla on same side, and two fibers terminates on the inferior olivar nucleus of medulla on opposite side. It helps in proprioceptive impulses. These proprioceptive impulses are originates. These are sensory these impulses originates at sensory endings in muscle, joint, or tendon, and these impulses provide information to the CNS about relative position of the body parts. The next position, the next tract is spinal-reticular tract. It starts from dorsal gray horn of the spinal cord. It ascends upwards and gets terminated into the brainstem. That is reticular formation of brainstem and thalamus and hypothalamus. Function. It plays important role in maintenance of consciousness and awareness. Next, I am going a little bit fastly because it is time we have very limited time for this lecture. When the vestibular tracts, when the pontine tracts are very, very small tracts, uh, we will discuss next important tract, that is afferent tracts in the anterior column. Okay, anterior spinothalamic tract, anterior spinothalamic tract. So again, it consists of three neurons: first order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron. First order neuron starts from peripheral sensory receptors. It enters into the spinal cord from posterior gray horn, and second order neuron begins, which immediately cross and occupies anterior white column of the spinal cord, from where it ascends upwards. The middle oblongata cones, it gets terminated into the thalamus, and from where third order neuron begins, which gets terminated at the primary sensory area of cerebral cortex, area number 1, 2, 3. So what is the function? Function of this tract, it is responsible for fine touch and pressure. This is very important function. It is fine touch and pressure. Along with that, it is also responsible for sensations of crude touch and tactile localization. So on vision, you are going to get problem in all these fine touch, pressure, and crude sensations and tactile localization. Okay, you will get a loss of sensation of fine touch. Along with that, there will be loss of sensations like itching, tickling at opposite side, because this tract get crossed in the spinal level, spinal cord level. That's why after lesion you will get problem on opposite side. Uh, that's all. That is a discussion of today's lecture. So we will stop here. If you have got any problem, you can ask me at any time. You can ask in group or you can ask me personally. So today we will stop here, and tomorrow we will discuss about pyramidal tracks. Okay? How to stop? How to end meeting?